All right. So let's get into this.
Jumping in
What we
both
got
feet.
today. All right. What are you kind of snobby about?
Water.
Water.
Yep.
Okay.
Ozarka or this flavor here, which is the Hill Country Fair brand. Sometimes Crystal Geyser if I have to. At the Deja Blue but never Dasani.
He knows a lot about water.
I don't. I can't. And tap water. Come on.
What about like the bougie water? Like
Don't
Fiji?
touch it. Don't mess with it.
Okay.
They get all fancy with it, and it's just like no.
Ain't your thing.
Yeah, just give me some decent, clean water that tastes like water.
All right.
I don't need it to taste like artisanal wells.
Man, I don't watch that documentary on Netflix about water then, because it'll make you even more of a snob about water. All the minerals and whatnot.
I need those.
Parasites.
I know. That's what they say. They said don't eat.
good stuff.
Helps my hair grow.
They would scoff at this
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
because they're like minerals. You gotta if there's stuff floating in it, it's the best water. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck on them.
There's reasons they're wrong, but
Yeah.
So true.
all right. What are you snobby about, Raymond?
Oh gosh. Maybe it's the word that's throwing me off. I'm trying to think of
He's
like
snobby about the word
what am I
snobby.
snobby
Do we
about?
need to go to Eric? for
My
a minute?
wife knows this answer immediately. I guarantee you. She'd probably be like, this. I don't. Man, what like I guess something that I adhere to strictly. Like I want it this way. It would probably be. This is super broad, but it's the only thing I can think of. It would probably be with artistic direction.
Okay.
I can be a snob about that because if I have a vision, it's hard for me to let that go and let somebody else mess with it.
Okay. That's
And
fair.
I think a lot of creative people have that issue. But yeah, once you take ownership of something, it's hard to let that go. So I'm a little bit of a snob with creative direction. Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah. That one's fair.
Something I'm a snob about. I know there's probably several things I can think of that I'm like, no, we don't do that in this house. Or we don't watch that in this house or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess, but I'm just going fundamentals here. I guess Coke over Pepsi all day long.
Okay.
I love it.
Can't
That's
stand
good.
Pepsi. I think it's disgusting, and I think the only good Pepsi product that they have out there is Mountain Dew.
I knew it. Yeah. Mountain Dew.
I guess when it comes to like if someone was like, "But I have Pepsi," I'd be like, "No, you don't. It doesn't matter. I mean, even if you do have it, It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm not drinking it. I'll as Lee did at the dinner table tonight. No, I'll just have water then. Yeah, straight up.
It's like that really
That's
just
true.
messed up thing that happens at restaurants sometimes when you order a Coke and they don't tell you they don't have Coke. They just assume Pepsi's fine and they bring it
it's
to
wrong.
you.
It's
And
wrong
you
on so many levels.
You take a sip and you're just, wah!
It's right. Your taste buds are like, nah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, ain't having this.
That makes me think of diet drinks as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
I mean,
No.
they're like, I say Coke Zero, and they're like, yeah, and they just bring you a Diet Coke, and you're like, what are you doing?
This isn't the same.
No,
it's not what I
agree
asked
with
for.
that. Completely
thing.
agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
What about you, Jason?
Jason, what you got?
Coffee. Yeah, coffee. There's just certain like beans and my favorite roaster is Bones Coffee.
Bones.
Yeah, if you have ever ordered Bones Coffee, now they got some funky flavors.
Well, I was about to ask, does it have to go through the lower intestines of a rodent before you're...
No, it's not that. But they do have things like breakfast cereal,
Oh,
like a Fruity Pebble coffee. They have
really interesting.
like a butterscotch. No, they have some really good, and they're small batch roasted coffees. But yeah, like just like a Folgers or I can't do that. Like,
what about Juan Valdez?
no. I'm on the edge with Starbucks. I can drink Starbucks, but it has nothing to do with their coffee. It is an emotional attachment that I have to something else that happened with the Starbucks. And so like I will drink it
So it's just
to
nostalgia.
be connected to that feeling.
Yes.
But other than that, I don't drink like Starbucks. It's just burnt. Like, yeah. So like, yeah, coffee is a big one for me. So
I think you just spoke on behalf of like half America, maybe the world.
Word.
There's a lot of coffee snobs out there. I know for sure. Everybody's got their own opinions.
they got their own taste. Yeah.
I remember for me, like I can't drink coffee anymore because all the acid and stuff. But I do remember like y'all didn't know coffee had acid.
Different
in it?
podcast.
Yeah, that's
different coffee. No, I just remember like I couldn't, I didn't care much about the flavor as much as I cared if it was medium or higher. I don't like anything less than that, and then it not burnt. So that's why I didn't like Starbucks, is because notoriously they burn their coffee.
They roasted a higher
and
temperature.
I couldn't do that. So
yeah, so
I'm not a coffee man, so I'll just have to take your word for it. On that note, welcome to the podcast.
yes.
If you're like us, then you enjoy a good, well-written, sitting on the edge of your seat dramatic
of my
comedy with twists and turns while being straightforward TV show. So today, we talk about the shows we watch. Today, the show keeps going.
Yes.
Yep.
This is part two of TV shows. Guys, if you did not check out episode 7, where we talked about the nostalgia of the TV shows we grew up on, stop right now. Go back, check out episode 7. It is a great episode. We talk about some awesome stuff in there. But today, we get to talk about the things we watch right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited for this
The
podcast,
things
guys.
we're watching right now.
I've heard about a great podcast called 4THOUGHT.
Oh my goodness. Can you
watched
watch
that.
it?
I watched it. You can on YouTube. It's exciting.
that's awesome.
Man.
Exciting.
I'll have to check that one out.
Shameless plug.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Although the people watching this right now
Are
and
already
listening,
there.
I feel like we're marketing to the wrong people.
Preaching to the
Yeah.
choir.
Just tell somebody.
Okay.
So here we
Yeah.
are talking about shows. So the last time it was all about what we watched growing up. So it was a lot of nostalgia.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now we're moving on because there's so much to talk about, and we love story, we love to be entertained, we love to be drawn into different worlds that we can not experience outside of watching the screen. And so that's the question of the day: what are you watching right now?
Man, I have been pondering this question for the entirety of the week that we have not been able to talk about this. So I'm going to start us off because I'm so excited.
So excited.
Yeah, so what I'm watching right now is I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So every time something new from Star Wars drops, I'm going to watch it. And right now, I feel like we are in the greatest era of TV show related Star Wars stuff. I don't know exactly what to call it yet, but it's
Right.
building this world, expanding the universe.
Right.
So we have The Mandalorian, which is amazing. It's very much space western. They took that idea of Star Wars being a space western and they really pushed it. Then you've got, Boba Fett, which was then spin off of that. We've got Obi-Wan, which was an amazing, just epic. I mean, you got to see something that I've been wanting to see my entire life, is those two finally meeting again. And then going on
that
to
episode was
Andor.
good.
Yeah. There was
so good.
a lot of people have problems with one of the actresses in that show. A lot of people
Problem
did
with the show
but
in general, but anyways, that's
I
fine.
was just so excited that I decided to stay positive, look past it,
There you
and just
go.
enjoy what I was given,
Enjoy the
because I'm not
experience.
getting anything else, right?
Right.
So, yeah, those are the ones I'm watching right now. I don't know if anybody else out there is a Star Wars fan, but I'm super into those. I was excited about the last episode that just happened with Mandalorian. I'm not going to spoil anything.
They all die.
Never mind. We are going to spoil
Andor.
everything.
They were on the Death Star.
Is anybody else watching this?
I'm watching Mandalorian. I generally let it completely finish and then watch them. But I did watch a few episodes.
Oh, gotcha.
I definitely like the first season more than anything that's been out since then.
That's fair. I mean, you
But
kind
yeah,
of snuck
no,
into
I
the
mean-
next question, which is, do you binge or do
Oh,
you
yeah,
watch?
sorry.
Yeah,
No,
we'll get there.
no. You're priming
get
the
there.
pump,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we'll get
Yeah.
there in a
I
second.
love this.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm down with Mandalorian.
What else? You
Anything
watching?
else you watch?
Oh yeah.
I don't have a lot of time to watch stuff. So I pick and choose what I'm going to put my time into, and that's it right now. All the Star Wars stuff, I'm devoting my extra time to that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's fair. Who wants to take?
I guess if we're gonna
go for it.
work
Let's
the
go
table
around.
Lauren here. Yeah.
I had a list, and I started off with the same, the Star Wars series that are out. I don't like them all, but like Ray, like you said, it's like I'm excited about the expanding universe. It's kind of like with a movie, you're confined. to whatever you've just watched. Now, the nice thing about the Star Wars universe is there's so many like comic books and actually novels that go along with that, and now there's all these debates on what's canon and what's not, and so seeing these shows that they're making, it's kind of like now they're accepting things as canon, and so we're getting to see like kind of like the in between stuff between movies, like what would have happened between so and so and so and so.
Yeah,
So I really enjoyed the first season of The Mandalorian, like you're saying.
Yep.
Jason. I struggled through the next two, though there were some elements about both of them that I like. Oh, I appreciated that so much. But when Andor came out, man, that was a game changer, and I think that really, in my personal opinion, I think Andor hurt the third season of Mandalorian because Andor was done so well, and that leading up to the story that we know about. So watching those series has been really rad. Been watching Yellowstone with my wife. Still watch The Office.
Yeah.
Can't get enough of that. It's still gonna watch that. Rings of Power.
Okay.
Something else I've been watching, and I got to finish up The Walking Dead. But those are just a few of the things.
Those are great
that I've watched.
I do. I love. I've actually seen all those too.
Yeah.
But those are all on. We're on waiting time right now. We're just watching the clock tick away while we wonder when the next season's coming out.
Because right now there's a writer's strike.
Yeah,
I know.
Like
I knew we were going to get into that. That's going to be an interesting part of the conversation as well.
There. So what am I watching? Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso.
Is that any good?
I've heard it's funny.
I really enjoy it. Yeah,
Okay.
it's funny. There's language. It is it's English, humor. So there's lots of F-bombs because it's like every other word for some of them. But yeah, it's really well written. First season, just like The Mandalorian, I think first season was really, really well done. Second season lost a step. Third season lost a step, and it's kind of coming back up. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed it. It's a fun one. Fun character with Jason Sudeikis. The Neighborhood, if you've never heard of that one, it's a CBS straight up sitcom. About a neighborhood. It's just a funny show. Like there's no real politics that happens.
Nice.
It's just a fun sitcom. Like I missed that.
Yeah.
So that one we're watching. I'll throw this one in there because my family watches it together. Bluey. We watch a lot of Bluey, and it's amazing. Yeah,
I didn't even know what that was until my nieces came over. We're like, "Can we watch Bluey?" And I'm like, "I don't even know what that is." But then when we turned it on, I'm like, "Oh, this is so captivating."
Yeah, it is. Like it's amazing what they've done.
Everybody
with that show.
keeps telling me to watch that with my son. because he's like 2, and and he would potentially like it, but I haven't transitioned yet. Like I don't want to add another show to the mix with him,
There's so much there for parents. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's fun. It's a fun kid show, but we all watch it together. And then I'll throw a few out there just because we're watching. I watched Last of Us. Enjoyed that one.
Yep.
Mandalorian. And then as reality TV, just because it's something to watch, Masked Singer, we watched that as a family.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll go through and watch that again. There's some stuff in there. I'm like, why do you have to use certain language like for this kind of a show? But
Right.
They do. But that's pretty much what we're watching right now. I'll throw Brooklyn Nine-Nine in.
Oh my gosh,
The series is over.
Yeah.
We are currently watching that. We'll watch an episode or so each night.
That's
my wife and I.
Like with The Office. You just throw a couple episodes on every now and then.
I did forget that I do dabble in that one too. I don't watch it every single night, but every once in a while I'll progress through the seasons. But yeah, it's a great show.
So that's a wife and I into the night.
Yeah. Those are so right now as a family we're watching Alias. We went back
going back
and kind of watching through Alias. We've done that with a couple of different shows. Leverage
that's a good one. Yeah,
is a great show, and then they've got a new version of Leverage out. My youngest daughter really likes that. My wife, she's constantly like Downton Abbey and that kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
But for me, like I really enjoyed the last season of Jack Ryan.
Oh yeah,
that was really good.
That's on my list of things to watch.
That's with what's his face? What's the guy's name?
Watch The Office?
I know, and the guy that played Jim.
I'm wondering.
No,
you're gonna call him Jim Halper, aren't you?
We're not gonna wait because this is sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Krasinski. There we go.
There we go.
Wow.
I'm here to help.
All right. So anyway, you know me, I'm always going to go weird, different, and like dig. And for shows that nobody else is watching, and usually they have some sort of ties to Christianity. But I'm watching a show right now. When I watch it at the office, I put it on. It's called The Outpost, and it was put out by Dean Devlin, and who also did Leverage, and did. There's Dean Devlin's done several shows that we really enjoy. The other one, the Paradise. What is that? Paradise? I can't remember. It's Almost Paradise. That's a great show. And then he also did The Librarians, and The Librarians was a great show.
Love The Librarians.
Yeah, heard good things about that.
At the end of every episode of Librarians or Leverage, I will end every episode and say Dean Devlin. Yeah, like every time.
Yeah,
and if I don't say it, my wife will turn to look at me like, "Are you going to do it?"
Yeah. The Outpost is one of those. It's like a fantasy kind of. It's really interesting. It's an alternate world, and there's, monsters and swords, and it's a lot of fun. But there's two shows that I'm really super stoked about that I know nobody's heard. Nobody's heard of them. And the premise, like the execution is not the best, but the premise is excellent. And it is a show that both of them, you can find them on Freevee or Prime. The first one is called Breakers.
Okay.
And it was done a few years ago, not really long time ago, but just a couple of years ago. And, it's just like 10 episodes. And then the other one is it's a sequel series called Guardians. Same actors, same characters, but a completely different kind of twist. I won't ruin it for you. Breakers is this guy. It's kind of a Groundhog Day premise. It's the same day happening over and over.
Okay.
And it just gets better and better. Like as you watch the show, it just keeps getting better. Because as he explains in the first episode, he starts out looking at the camera, and you think he's looking at the camera, but he's actually looking at another person. And he goes, "Just pretend everything I'm about to tell you is true." And then he starts explaining, I'm living the same day over and over again. And then he's talking to this therapist, and the therapist is like, okay, then why don't I remember this day? And he's like, it's not exactly the same day. He's like, today's the first day I've come to you for this. He goes, but I'm living this day over and over again. And like I said, don't want to ruin it for anybody, but basically the premise, the underlying premise is everything biblical that you imagine, like that you see, it's like, what if that applied? So, for example, God stopping the sun.
Right.
And so, like, that day lasting forever, like, while they're fighting. And it's like the same. So, basically, that's kind of the premise. And he's like,
interesting.
He's like, I think this is a supernatural kind of thing. And so, anyway. Yeah, it's really crazy premise.
Really interesting.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah,
same. I'm going to definitely go check this out.
Yeah.
Everybody else who's listening should probably go check it out. That sounds awesome.
Speaking of checking stuff out, if you have shows that you watch that we haven't talked about, you should definitely leave those in the comment section below.
Yeah, that would be amazing. We are always looking for new things to watch. Jason, you talked about earlier about how you like to wait till a whole season is out.
Right.
So I'm assuming, actually, you kind of broke my brain here because the idea is like, are you somebody who binges or do you wait? And he somehow is both.
I do both.
He
binges after the wait
and then binges afterwards. So
I'm a mix of all of it. There's certain shows, so like Mandalorian, Last of Us, those kinds of things. I will generally let either the whole season or most of the season come out, and then I'll watch a few at a time. And those are the kinds of shows that like my wife usually doesn't watch, so I'll end up. So I just watch them, as free time. If it's something that my wife and I watch together, usually we'll just do like an episode, or if it's live, so like a Hulu show or something.
Yeah.
Then we just catch up to where it is, and the next week we'll watch the next episode or whatever. But yeah, that's generally how I do it. I don't like to stop, then I have to wait for a week or two, and because I don't know, I just like it all together. Although sometimes that ruins a show.
That's true.
Because that's how we did House.
Yeah.
And I loved House. But after you've watched about 40 episodes and it's the exact same thing and he's the same exact character and nobody's grown, and they're always fighting the exact same thing,
Yes.
Yeah.
it gets really, really old.
Stale.
And I didn't notice that when I did it one episode a week.
Yeah, because
Right.
they write
Yeah.
to that.
For
They
sure.
write for that. Like you go a whole week, you forget kind of about the show, but you're looking
right.
forward to it. And when you get to it, you want the comfort of knowing you're getting exactly what you expect.
Yeah.
You want that character, these problems, this kind of situation. And that's how they wrote TV back then. But
Yeah.
now
Yeah, it's
everything's
rough.
got to link up and everything's got to be progressive. It's got to move forward
Yeah.
with everything.
I will say Lost. If you're going to ever watch Lost, that's the way to do it, though. Just
All the way through.
watch
Binge
it.
it. Yes.
Yeah, just binge it. Just,
I will say
just
that's
do
true.
it because it'll all connect then.
See, I never watched
Yeah.
Lost because everybody who was watching it was never in a good mood.
So true. So true.
I just was like, I'm going to
That's fair.
avoid that.
I
That's fair.
enjoyed
Yeah.
Lost until it got to the very end.
Yeah.
That's where it was like, you could have written that better. But
I was
yeah,
gonna say,
okay.
I was about to say until it got weird, but then the whole thing was weird.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point of it.
Yeah, I definitely I fit in two areas here. I binge and I wait, but I most of the time when like a show's coming out that I look forward to, like Mando, and those types of shows, the Rings of Power, you know, I was watching those each episode as they drop because I want to be with it. I want to be current because I've got friends who are watching it. There's people. Also, I don't want spoilers. I'm on too many forums and other things
Yeah.
for fantasy and like comic books and stuff that things get ruined really fast for me.
Especially with
So-
a week's worth of time before the next episode.
yeah. So I stay current and I watch those. However, when I find something like what was the Queen's Gambit, right?
Oh, yeah.
I got that late. I didn't know that it was out, and all of a sudden when I went to it, the whole thing was out. So
Yeah.
me and my wife
Same.
binged that. We watched the whole thing through. So I'll binge things that are fully set and ready to go for me on Netflix or something like that if we have the time. But most of the time, I do like the just each episode dropping each week. It's something to look forward to. Because I don't watch a lot of TV in between, so it's kind of like I've only got those one episodes a week kind of thing.
I will say, and it wasn't until Disney Plus that they were actually doing like an episode a week kind of a thing. And instead of like Netflix, whenever they pick up a season or a series, that like when the new series hits TV, the previous series hits Netflix and it's all there waiting for you.
Yeah.
So I was used to that. And whenever I realized I was going to have to wait a week between episodes, I was like, oh man, it took some adjustment. But now it seems to be a thing that a lot of
Everybody's
streaming
doing it.
It's all
platforms
the
are
originals.
doing.
It's Netflix
Yeah.
originals, Hulu originals. If it's an original
Prime original,
thing,
yeah.
Yeah.
then they're going to do the week to week, which is
Yeah.
really funny to me. We all thought when streaming came about, it was going to like change
That used to
TV
be-
forever.
yeah.
No more waiting, no more commercials. We're going to get what we want to watch and how we want to watch it,
Right.
when,
Well, then they realized
and then
that
it's TV. We're
people
back
could
to TV.
binge
We're
an
paying more.
entire season in one day.
Yeah.
And then they would just get rid of their account until the next season came out. And so they're like, no, we got to stretch this out.
We
Yeah.
did that with the first couple of seasons of Stranger Things.
Yeah, Stranger Things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that,
like-
yeah.
I don't want Netflix, but
But I want to watch Stranger Things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. And that's another one that's getting delayed because of the
writer's strike.
Yeah. Anyway, what about you? Are you a binger? You
well, like
Binge your weight.
yeah. So it kind of depends on the show. Like with Jack Ryan, it was the same kind of thing. It was like it's a Prime original, so you have to wait. But like with Alias, it's an older show, so the whole thing's there waiting for us, and we just do it. With the kids, like we come home from work, it's an hour before bedtime, and it's like, so I'm gonna watch some Alias. I was like, oh yeah, let's watch some Alias, and we'll watch that show, whatever that show is. Right now it's Alias, but it's been Leverage, it's been some other shows. So
Yeah, that's awesome. What about you? Same way?
I like to binge. My wife and I, whatever show we're watching, we end up binging. What's the next episode? Probably to our detriment.
Those 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I know, that's right. And then you're looking at the
Netflix
other,
starts judging you. Like, are you really still
is
watching?
he still watching?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's always fun.
Oh, I hated those when they started doing them.
Yeah.
It just makes you feel like a terrible human being.
No,
Just
I
yes,
never-
I'm still watching, and thank you very much. I took this day off to do this.
I never felt bad. I was always angry. It's like, get out of the way. When I'm stopped, when I'm done, you'll know I'm done because I turned it off.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I know there's been several things I've been watching, and I woke up 4 episodes later. I was like, oh,
Yeah, that's
I
always
gotta go
fun.
back.
Yeah.
So I do like to binge. I don't like to wait. But here in the current, like what we're talking about in the current situation with a lot of the series that are on, waiting is just a part of it. So it's kind of created an anticipation. Like when you when your wife are watching something, you're like, is it Wednesday? Is it Thursday? Is it Friday? Depending on what it came out when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and we know it's always on Sunday. The day's winding down. The weekend's about to start. So it's just kind of like that last moment where you're just chilling, and you just catch up on everything that happened that week. So
yeah, Sundays are a great day for that,
Yeah.
for sure. Speaking of waiting, we touched on it a little bit already, but the whole writer's strike thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the shows that we're watching now, how is that going to affect them? Those of you who are listening or watching, like if you didn't know, you might be watching this a little late. Maybe you're watching it right when it came out. But currently there is a writer's strike happening. A lot of shows are affected by this because some of the writers that write for all your favorite shows write for multiple shows. So they're
and then they're part of the same union.
yes,
right.
Yeah.
And the last strike that happened,
oh my gosh, we lost Jericho.
it was over
killed a
100
lot of
days.
shows, yeah.
It was over 100 days. I remember
Yeah.
because I was watching Heroes.
Yeah, it killed Heroes, and I
Man,
love that show.
That show was so rad, and then you could tell exactly where. It was one of the shows that you could tell exactly
And
where the
now
writers.
an intern is writing.
Yeah. All the writer strike happened. You could tell exactly where it happened in different series of shows that you're watching. You're like, oh, and then it was funny because the strike's over with, and then the old writers come back, and they treated a whole season like it didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
You're like all these plot holes and all these different things. You're kind of wondering how it's going to tie in and tie up. They're like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, not gonna
No.
do
Well,
it.
nowadays they just go to AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chat GPT. I need use this premise, these characters. I need an episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me if somebody does that.
Wow, I think
I'm
that's
sure
part of
it's
the reason
coming.
why they're
Yeah.
striking is
Probably.
because it's
Yeah.
that becomes the new easy thing.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That's crazy.
So, talking about writing a show,
Yes.
if you could create your own show,
Good segue.
Yes.
what would it be
Yes.
about?
Wow.
Look
There's
at
so
Eric.
many.
Eric's ready. He's chomping at the bit.
I know you.
He's written down his notes and
Man,
he's ready to tell us about it.
I was thinking about the video game episode that we did.
Yeah.
And so I would want to do a Halo show
yes.
series that actually
Not like the Paramount one.
That's
no
like a-
that actually like followed the lore they created with the games and the books. That would be really rad to see. They had some of the commercials, some of the trailers that they created for the release of new games. It was like a full on cinematic, and I'm like, man,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if they'd have made a movie with what we're watching right now, that'd be so rad.
Yeah, I'd be there for that.
Oh yeah, all day long.
There's a digital effects channel on YouTube called Corridor Crew.
Yep.
And two of the guys put together a Halo trailer for the movie they wanted to see. And it's actually really amazing. Now, I'm not a Halo guy.
I gotta
it
go
looked
watch
like a
that
movie
now.
I definitely wanted to
Yeah,
watch.
for sure. And
Yeah, it was
I think a Halo movie would have been the smarter move than starting with the TV show in this case.
I agree.
Because
Years ago.
most TV shows are based off of something that we all have buy-in for.
Right.
Video games are hard to do that with. So you first have to adapt what you've seen in a video game and do it justice in a movie
Right.
and leave people wanting more. So therefore they're like, hey, y'all love this movie so much, we're going to create a show. Now you have buy-in and you'll be able to run with it. But it was just weird. It landed weird.
It's too far gone. I mean, it's not too far gone. That's the wrong way to put it. It's too far away from what Halo used to be. Like back in Halo 2, Halo 3, I will say that's the pinnacle of Halo. Like it was everywhere. It was branded with Mountain Dew. It was branded on, it was everywhere. Like it wasn't to find someone who didn't know what Halo was. It was, I'm sure there are people who are out there, but they at least knew it was something.
Yeah.
And now it's like,
Yeah. I think it'd be cool if you were able to create one because getting the people that love it for what it is to its core, creating it like Favreau, right?
Yeah.
You got Filoni, Favreau, those guys, they love Star Wars from in and out and they're doing their best to do it justice with what they love and what they want to see. And I could see you being that person to bring that to Halo. That'd be amazing.
it'd be so rad.
Yeah.
It would be.
We're going to crowdsource this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about what, one of the things I would do too. I know we're running short on time for the podcast, whatever. Don't want to run over too much, but I love fantasy stuff, right? Like I grew up with Lord of the Rings, reading the books and watching the movies, and I absolutely loved those movies. And it got a little wonky with the Hobbit series because I think they relied too heavy on digital effects and CGI. I would have loved to seen some more, actual makeup practical effects and stuff. That would have been awesome. So I would probably, if I could create my own show, I'd go with something like Rings of Power, and just create a whole new problem. Middle Earth is just a small pocket of what the entire world really is there.
Middle Earth.
And I would go somewhere else, and there's another battle. There's something else raging in another part of the world, and explore new creatures, things we've never seen before, but all based within the reality of what he set up in that universe, Silmarillion and all that. So I think that's what I would do.
Yeah,
be radical.
For me, I just thought of something else. But I just wrote down here a mall. A mall. Just like, to me,
like
the stories, a mall, like it doesn't matter, but like a stories that are involved in a mall. Like, you got this store and what's going on there, and this store, what's going on,
like mall rats.
People. No.
No, I think you're talking like sitcom comedy.
Like stories within
like
the mall. Community. But but a mall. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
But then I was also thinking like Sherlock Holmes. I'd love to see Sherlock Holmes made just a TV series.
Mysteries in the
That'd be
Mall.
awesome. And which they already did in the modern version with Sherlock, which is another show that I love.
Yeah, that's good.
Sherlock was amazing. And then there's another show that kind of did that with Houdini and Doyle. I don't know if you saw Houdini and Doyle, but it was that same time period. But that time period, to me, would
do
just
something.
that turn of the Victorian era there.
Just real quick, I think I would want to see the church office.
The church office.
Yeah.
Like office style sitcom.
But about the church.
About a church office. Because I think
we could do that.
Elevation worship. Like Stephen.
I think
oh man,
people have no idea what really goes on behind the curtain.
So true.
Yeah, and just pulling that back, I think that would really work. And there's some funny situations.
There is.
But yeah. So I think that's what I would want to do.
That'd be rad.
Yeah.
It can be done.
It can be done for sure.
Have our own sensitivity training day.
How many places can the youth pastor sleep at?
What a great one. Man, so as we wrap up here, guys, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the 4THOUGHT podcast.
What do you watch?
Yes. We want to know what you're watching right now. Leave some comments below. Tell us what you're into now. Also, we got to talk about what we would create and what our shows would be about. I know that everybody's got an idea out there of like, man, I wish they would make a show like this or whatever. Leave that in the comments too. That'd be really awesome to go through and read what you guys are thinking. But thank you so much for being a part of this episode. Be sure to come back and join us next week as we kick off another episode of the 4THOUGHT podcast, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.
Yeah.